Hi there, amigos. Today we have an interview with Alan Smith. He recently topped at an ARG. What place did you place?
At this particular event, I got eighth place.
So you barely made it to the top eight. Nice.
You keep rubbing it in, Jaime.
How did you
Keep
feel?
rubbing it in. I hate Victor, and I hate Victor some more.
Okay. And what deck did you play?
I played Messiah. Now, this was the second event that I played this deck in a row. Because we had a shot qualifier about 3 weeks prior, and I'd spoken to you about this, and I talked with that, and I got second. So I was really pumped up, and then I got eighth.
That's good that you were able to top at another event recently with the same deck.
Yeah, the only difference was Stark.
So the first few questions are going to be about your thought process behind your deck choices and stuff. And then we'll go into your experience at the tournament, and you can mention the round. Sound good?
Absolutely.
Cool. So first off, when you walk into a tournament or at your locals, like this event or the ARG event, do you feel confident in your ability as a player to perform, or are you comfortable with your deck?
So, what it comes down to in that scenario is I've been playing this game since its inception. I don't go into an event or a tournament unless I'm 100% comfortable. People know me if I start playing a deck religiously, like I make it my main. It's because I'm planning on taking that event or that deck to a big event. I won't just play a deck for no reason, for just giggles. I will play the deck because I intend to win or top with that deck. And Messiahs has been something that I've been playing since Amaruta came back. I put Fenrir on hold because I didn't like how the deck ran, and I built Messiahs, and I've been in love with it ever since. It's so consistent. It has great recovery. It's just I love the deck so much. It's so much fun, and we got so much power from the extra booster. It's ridiculous how just like 4 or 5 cards changes the meta, and I honestly think it's better than Chaos. I've never had issues with Chaos, mainly because I play Messiah, and that's the best way around any other Link Joker deck as you play, Messiah engine. But when people are like, Chaos is the best deck in the meta, I'm like, except for the Messiah players who don't have any issues with Chaos.
You're right, because Messiah has the stuff,
Yeah,
and if
it's
if you can play around the chaos stuff, good to go.
yep. Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
always I always feel I won't go into an event without being 100% confident. I won't do it. I won't play a deck unless I'm 100% sure that it will do well.
No, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't take a deck that I'm not comfortable with to a big event. At that point, I'd rather play the most comfortable deck that I have
I
than that.
almost I almost took Minerva because a friend said, "Hey, do this because people won't expect it." I'm like, "No, I haven't had enough playtesting with the new
Right.
card. I'm not doing that."
No, yeah, exactly. And you don't want to throw like all that time with Messiah kind of out the window and
Yeah,
risk it.
and they just topped the previous event I played, and I'm like, "Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it."
Yes. Oh, I agree. So then, my next question is: do you feel like you're the best player, and hopping is something that feels achievable?
I don't consider myself the best, but I think that is where my ability lies. Is I know that I'm not the best, and I know that I'm going to have to play against people that are better than me, and that's what makes me a good player. Is because I will learn to play around those amazing, top tier players. I will find a way to play around them and go from there. I'm by no means better than them, but I can play at their level. I know I can do that.
No, that's good. I agree. You admitted to yourself that you feel you may not be the best player, but you can play the best to your ability with the playing.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's good. And in Vanguard and in other card games, a little luck can get you places too.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
So yeah, there are moments where I've had like I really need a heal right. Now. I drive and check, especially against the leaders. To be like,
Let's not talk about the leaders.
yeah, agreed. All right, moving on. Um, so you pretty much answered my next question, and my next question was, why did you take Messiahs to this event, especially with a meta full of ZT, Shiranui, Sharahat, Ize, and so on?
So my meta, my specific local area, because the ARG was just was mainly my locals and a couple other people.
Okay.
I've played with these guys since the game came out because I think you can't just play around a deck. You have to play around a player, and if that's the downside to when people go to big events is because the reason they don't do well is because they're not accustomed to these players. They haven't played against them. They don't know what they're doing. So I had the advantage of playing games with people that I've been playing with for 5 to 6 years. I know how they play. I know how to play around them. It doesn't matter what deck I'm playing. I do agree that what they're playing has an impact, but like for example, we've got a couple Luard players, and I know how to play against Luard. One of my best friends plays it, and my significant other mains Luard. I don't have issues with Luard, but then you go against a deck like Victor, where I don't get very much playtest against, and the person who plays at our locals is very good. He's very, very, very good, and I have issues with that because that's I still it doesn't matter what he's playing. It's hard to play around him because he's such an overall good player. It's
Yeah.
just as much about the person piloting the deck. Because if you give someone that's never played an event before a Shiranui deck, yeah, he's going to go far. Is he going to win the thing? No, because he doesn't know how to play the deck 100%. You can say you
Right.
play a deck, but that doesn't mean you're an expert at it. And I think
No,
that's
yeah.
why I did so well. Is people were just grabbing things. People were playing, Zodiac Time Beast, Tsukiyomi, Shaharut. I know how to play those decks. I know how to play around them. I don't have issues with them.
Good, because I think when I go to an event, when I think about the decks that are played, um, I want to make sure that I can play the general rogue decks, and then when I get to like top, that's when I really do worry about top players where I have to outsmart and
Oh
play
yeah,
against.
I was sweating once I hit top 8. I'm like, oh, I have to play against the top player, which is my friend Nathan, and he was playing Victor. I'm like, well, game over.
Yeah, it's
I
gonna
have
be a
enough
hard
issues with him when he's not playing Victor.
match. Victor is solid. No,
Yeah, it's
I totally
crazy.
okay. So next question. This time we're gonna go over your deck choices.
Okay.
So one of the things I saw, you're playing the Goro crit.
Yeah, I am. You're
So
correct.
how did that work out?
Jaime, you've played Messiahs. What can Messiahs not do if they can't stride? Or what can Messiahs do if they can't stride? Nothing.
They
They can't do
can't.
anything. You're
They got
done. You can't if you can't stride, you can't do anything.
right.
Like unless you're a weird person and Tekken 1 Chaos Breaker, you're done. We don't
Yeah.
have Legion. You're done. So Goro gets a +2 to grade in hand, and you don't know how many times I'll pitch 2 Goros and stride, and it will win me the game.
Damn. Two Goros.
Dude, it's
Okay.
worth it. And plus I don't like draws. You know
Yeah, that
this
was a
about me.
follow-up question. You went 12 crit. That's kind of rare in this.
Jaime, unless I'm playing Aquaforce, have you ever known me to play draw triggers? No. I'm a Tsukiyomi player. I don't like draw
Okay.
triggers.
With
They mess
OTT.
everything up.
No, I get it.
I don't like draw triggers. I get that they're good. I'm not saying they're not. But because we don't play Flagellant anymore,
Yeah.
more crits are necessary. You're not guaranteed a Vanguard crit.
Oh, I see.
Because Harmonix Neo is great, but if I can't kill you that turn, I just unlocked all your stuff and I'm screwed because I've got 3 full force attacks coming at me. 65k power doesn't stop something if they have triple G guard. I need ways to kill you, and crits draws
Yeah.
cannot kill you. I draw enough.
So for your next choices that I saw that you play 3 sacrifice and 4 of the other grade 1 dumbness.
Yes, I actually I'm glad that you brought that up. So now that there's less and roll with me here, Jaime. There's
Hmm.
less counter blasting required, quote unquote, in the deck.
Hmm.
Now that you don't have to play Amnesty, you don't have to play like there's less strides that require your counterblast. Of course, your Stark is always going to take two, but that's not a big deal. That's you play around that. But
Okay.
sacrifice, I feel like the potential sacrifice now has is just to buff up your Vanguard on your opponent's turn when
Okay.
you lock cards. So that's what the purpose I think sacrifice plays now, and just to be an auto lock. That extra counter, the extra counter blast that I could potentially have from it. That's why now that we have the heals, it's like that's the same amount of counter charging I'm going to get is when I bind the heals. So
Oh, I see your logic.
I don't feel it be as necessary. And plus, I would rather fill it with something like Dunamis that lets me set off the multi attack engine or pump up Metalia a ton, or set up the Awakening combo with Metalia. I just feel Dunamis is much more versatile. And the fact that
Hmm.
you generate souls so much quicker than you generate counterblasts in this deck,
Yeah.
I feel like Dunamis is just, and that +4 will matter a lot, especially on a Metalia turn, because if you can get Metalia up to 60 70k, which is people think it's not, but it's very very easy to get him that high because you're constantly unlocking and locking things on your turn with
Yes.
as long as you have the right resources set up.
Hmm.
So
Damn.
I like
I
Dunamis
never
a
got
lot
him that big
more.
before.
Yeah, I love Dunamis. I didn't originally. I thought, well, why am I not playing for sacrifice? And I'm like, how often is it? Is how often do I miss that one? Not very
Hmm.
often. I haven't. It hasn't come up yet, especially now that we have more ways to countercharge.
Yeah, the heal triggers do help now.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Now, if we could just get them back from the bind zone and continuously reuse them, then I would be happy.
So then that goes to following up with the Matalias. I've noticed people play anywhere from 2 to 3 or none at all. And so you play him because you can get him really big, right? Just to have that beat stick.
Yes. So I'm gonna make an alliteration back to when Silent Tom was such a big card.
Okay.
So Tom, the reason Tom was such a big issue is because, or the reason it was good for the think tank players, not only was he a win condition, which he absolutely was. You threw, the phrase was everything to Tom always, like that's what you did. But Tom takes cards. He not only knocks out rear guards, he makes your opponent waste card economy on him. If I'm playing in the
Hmm.
mirror, they can't lock Metalia. They have to waste attacks to kill him, which I will absolutely block because it is worth it. I will use less cards than they will use to try to get rid of him. Use less cards to save him than they use to try to get rid of him. He
I see what
takes
you're saying.
cards out of their hand. He's a great rearguard sniper because they'll block a 60k attack to a Vanguard, but if you've got a troublesome rearguard like in Nubatama, if you've got the bear, they're not going to block it. They're like, just hit, you can have him, like let him die.
Yeah.
So
You don't want to guard the
he's
bear.
he's just as defensive as he is offensive in my eyes.
No, it's good. I didn't realize that you could get him so big and make the opponent divert their efforts to get rid of him, kind of like Title Assault in a sense,
Yeah,
or
same
Silent
concept.
Tom.
Title Assault Tom, any of those just pesky grade twos.
Hmm.
They take cards, they take card economy, and you want to get rid of them so your opponent can't plus off of them. Yeah, I'm technically not plussing off Metalia, but I am in the fact that you just wasted 3 attacks to try to kill this thing. People have wasted Vanguard attacks on him in the early stages of the game. Like I'll throw one out early. If I'm at say like 4 damage and I'm riding into 2, like it's been a really bad game, I'll call
Yeah.
out the Metalia and they will waste cards to try to get rid of him. And I'm like, okay, you didn't attack my Vanguard. I have a turn to try to recover.
Yeah. And that's
He's a
important.
huge scapegoat. Yeah.
Yeah. So then you try to take as much advantage of him using the awakenings. That's why you're playing 3 awakenings too.
Yes. So he's my ride target. Because I don't want to ride Miga or Lady Fencer.
Hmm.
Um, but so one of them is always intended to be a ride target. The other one, because I typically don't get the full combo where there's 2 on the board because that's really difficult to do. but I'll
Mm-hmm.
typically get one behind the Vanguard because your Vanguard in Messiah's your Vanguard never needs a booster. Like you're hitting high enough numbers, it does not matter. Typically, or on your first stride, you're not trying to kill them. You're just trying to get cards like with Basaltus or anything like that. But I'll put Awakening behind the Vanguard so they can't snipe him out. Because if someone knows what the combo is, you lock Awakening on your turn with your stride, and then you
Mm-hmm.
continuously unlock him with other skills and other rear guards, and you keep standing this Metalia that's slowly getting bigger every time that card's locked, and then Awakening's unlocked, and then the card that unlocked Awakening relocks, and just repeat the process again and again and again. And it's like, well, I can't get rid of the Awakening because he's sitting behind the Vanguard. Unless I'm playing against Kagero Murakami or something like that, they have issues with it. So I
Yeah.
would rather play 3 because 1 is always intended to be a ride target, and I always want to have a backup in case one, if one ends up in damage.
Oh, I see. And 3, in my experience, you see enough of the card to see it at least once
Yep,
in your early
that's
to
the
mid
point.
game too. Yeah, totally
Yep.
get that. And when you said you'll restand the Metalia multiple times and it gets bigger and bigger, it kind of reminds me of like Nova Grapplers, like in Victor.
Yeah, I also think about it in Genesis Kotonoha,
Yes.
and Wiseman, very
And
similar
Wise
to
Man.
the Wiseman loop. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the
Gotcha.
idea. Bringing stuff from other decks over to Messiahs.
Yeah, abuse that definitely, and getting that restand. It's kind of like a Aquaforce kind of thing too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Aquaforce does not
So
need something like Metalia. Let's not do that.
they have Alexandros.
I know they don't need. They don't need. Don't give them any ideas.
So with everything else, it seems kind of standard. The one thing I do want to ask is the Forerunner choice. Do you feel like having that grade 3 was just more beneficial than a random draw?
Yes, I'm glad that you brought that up because people that ask me that play at my locals that pick up Messiahs, because a few of them have picked up Messiahs since I played it.
Yeah.
They're like, well, why don't you play Aurion because he's a +5 and a draw? Yes, he's a +5, and I will 100% stand by that the +5 can matter on a defensive turn, like if you lock him with one of your own units and then unlock him, or on when you're trying to be offensive, like a +5 to a Metalia, it can absolutely matter because that +5 stays until the end of the turn. But my thing is if you look at my deck, it's very set up for an early Stark. Like I have the ability. That's why I play 12 crits. That's one of the reasons why I play 12 crits is
Mhm.
so I can guarantee I kill them with either Harmonix Neo or Stark. Those are my Integral. If I just cannot wear their hand down, Integral's more of a tech choice for like decks that get huge hands like Mega Colony, Bermudas, stuff like that. Because they get really
Mhm.
salty when you send their hand back. It's like, well, I had 15 cards in my hand and now I have 5. Yeah, I know, and 3 of them were perfect cards and now they're gone. But the deck is very reliant on the crits, so I feel like I don't want to randomly draw a crit. I would rather grab a grade 3, the grade 3 that I need to be able to go into an ultimate, or just set up my next strike guarantee if I just can't find a 3. I feel like that's more important than a draw that could potentially be a crit trigger that could be the crit that could have won me the game later on if it was trigger checked.
I agree. I think the ability to grab the same copy as your Vanguard too, to have access to Stark anytime is very valuable too.
Because if you think about it this way, if you stride first and you go Basaltus,
Hmm.
you're GB2, you G guard on their turn, so you're GB3. For all intents and purposes, if they're at 5 damage, there's no reason you should not be going Stark or Harmonix Neo. Typically, Harmonix Neo will kill them. But again, if you can't, now that we don't have the Vanguard crit every single stride like we used to, Stark's
Hmm.
honestly a really good option because not many people can deal with 3 Vanguard attacks on second stride.
Right, being them at 5 damage too.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially if their front rows are locked and they're having to or I keep popping their front row something. They have to keep wasting cards out of their hand to fill those spots because I'm a player that doesn't play with a full board typically unless I
Hmm.
have to for my locks.
Yeah,
I try to play with like an L board with just the 2
yeah,
columns and maybe something on the side in case I want to throw something, push a crit up or something like that. So I typically don't play with a full board, so I always have the extra space to, on a start turn, okay, now I have 3 Vanguard attacks and 2 other rear guards. So, and if I have any way to unlock, I could potentially have 6 attacks. You're probably dying this.
Yeah. Well, that's really good, to be honest. So, I do like the way that you built your deck, and I can see your thought process behind it, and it served you well to get you into top 8. So, with that, would you like to tell us about your experience at the tournament? Kind of like the highlights in your rounds?
Yeah, absolutely. I was dreading this. So round 1, I played against Shaharut,
Mhm.
which I typically don't have problems with. I have more problems with Blade Wings, even though I don't understand. Again, it goes back to my hatred for Grand Blue. We've been over this. I don't like decks that completely change the like how to play like they can't let you play Vanguard because you know Grand Blue mills, so you lose your deck and you don't have a reliable recovery. Dark Irregular Soul Charges, you don't have a deck. You have better recovery, but I still wouldn't say reliable. The only deck that's out there that does have the reliable recovery for the Soul Engine would be Genesis because of Dreaming Dragon. They have the best reliable recovery in the game, and I will stand by that, and I will preach that every day of the week. So I played against Shaharut, and I got greedy. I thought that he was going to deck himself out, and I that was completely my fault. Both games, I'm like, oh, he's going to overextend, and the other thing is, I always expect Grand Blue players to play or not Grand Blue. I'm sorry, Dark Railers. I would prefer them to play crits, so I always guard as if there would be crits there. But
Yeah.
now these stupid stand builds, which I understand is smart, but it's my brain is, and I think a lot of people, we're always hardwired block the Vanguard because the crit could be there. So it
Yeah.
kind of throws people off now
Any
that people
form
are
of
playing
crit.
stand. Yeah, it's like there's no crit, but there's 2 stands, and now I have to deal with 2 more attacks.
Yeah, and you wasted a perfect guard or a G guard. Yeah.
Yep. When I'm like, oh, I was at 4 damage, I could have taken it no problem. I get really salty about that because not that, and like I said, I express that everyone should have their own play style and play unique builds. I play a unique build. It's just I don't understand. I know why it's good, but my brain can't wrap myself like it, I can't figure out why they do it. Round 2 was what was round 2? Round 2 was a good friend of mine. Someone I actually taught how to play Vanguard. It was Tsukiyomi. I'm a Tsukiyomi player. I taught him how to play Tsukiyomi. I don't have issues with Think Tank because you're gonna count. You're gonna create a stack. I'm gonna count with you because I played the deck. You can't stall me out in that sense. So that was
Yeah.
a 2-0. I lost 2-0 to Dark Regulars. I won 2-0 against Tsukiyomi, and then I played against Kagero. Again, I have no issues with Kagero because if they want to, play the I'll blow up your board, I won't give you a board to blow up. I'll leave everything in my hand. I don't care. I'll just lock all of your things. It doesn't bother me. That was a 2-0. Who did I
Can
play?
I stop you there?
Yeah.
With the Kagero matchup, so
Uh-huh.
you don't commit to the board,
No, I
and
don't commit to a board at all.
when you're ready to push, is that when you commit to the board?
Yeah, I only push if I'm 85% sure that I can kill them. Sometimes more than that. Like
Okay.
I won't over invest in a board. Now
So
there is
just enough to do a turn, essentially.
yeah, pretty much. And I do get that they're wasting resources, but a lot of times in my experience, when I don't play a board, they mirror me and they don't play a board. So I'm having less stead that I have to deal with that's coming back at me. I don't know. That just feels like it's a standard thing in Vanguard, unless you're playing like Aqua Force because you always play a full board. People tend to mirror their opponents
Hmm.
in a sense. And
Yeah.
that's something that happens very regularly in my local. So I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about this if I don't do it. So that's just something that I've realized just on a personal note. Um, hey, I don't throw out a board. You don't throw out a board. I'll throw out a board when I'm ready to kill you. So
Yeah. They probably just didn't want you to lock their rear guards, so
that's
they don't.
another thing. That's another thing is, wait, I get locked and I can only pop one of them with Destiny. Yeah, you can't get around it as much as people say you can.
You can only pop one, so they can work with one column if they really want to.
They can work with one circle. I won't give them one column. I'll give them one circle. If they
Okay.
want to play a board, I'll give them one circle to play with. That's it. I won't let them have anything else.
So you'll focus more on the control side.
Yeah, I will, because now that Purge requires, the Overlord build now requires you have to have like 500 Overlords in hand. It's much easier to make them waste card after card after card after card just to to extend their plays. It's like, well, I can just lock your board and the resources that you just wasted to get a couple cards in hand is irrelevant.
I see.
Cool. After Kagero was after Kagero was the match just before top. So how my event had went is he was still my only loss all day with Shaharut. And I'm like, well, I need to do something here. And like I said, we have smaller events, but they're longer and things of that nature. So I played against Hari, which Messiah hates because they don't leave me anything to play with. And I can't stand it. It's like, really? You're not going to leave me a single rear guard to mess with? Really? We're going to play this game? I played Hari, and the deck that I was playing against was the exact same build. He actually bought it off of our store owner who had bought it from me that I played at the previous shop qualifier that I had topped with. And I'm like, you didn't change a single thing. I built this deck.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, well, he's like, do you know how to play against Hari? I'm like, yeah, I built the deck that you're playing right now, just so you know.
Wow.
So he got very he's like, what? Like, yeah. Let's play a game. And I hadn't had the chance to play against Hari since I picked up Messiah. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to learn as I go. I know the basic concept. Hey, don't leave him things to I'm sorry, he's not gonna leave me things to play with. So it comes down to, it's been a very, game one was very, very slow. There wasn't much going on. We both healed very early. I'm like, okay, well, someone's going to go into a ZR really quick because we have the G Guard, and then both decks have a first turn stride that flips. He has Hari. I have Basaltus. So I'm like, okay, what do I need to do here? So he throws out a board and misses timing to put things back because Hari, when Hari calls out, it's like Lukier, you have to resolve them immediately or they can't. If you continue your turn, I'm not going to let you, take your cards back. So he calls out Trapezists, and he's starting his attack. I'm like, are you sure? Clarifying with him, he's like, yeah, I'm sure. And he goes on to attack. I'm like, well, now you can't resolve them and you can't get better columns out. Because he was doing it
so he misplayed.
Yeah, gotcha. He misplayed. I'm like, I know how the deck works. I built it. So he's swinging and he left me a board to play with, and then I went into Harmonix Neo and killed him. He gave me lock targets. So I mean, that's a mistake. The point of Pale Moon, the reason Pale Moon is good against Link Joker is it's supposed to get all of its rearguard circles cleared, so Link Joker can't play with them. If you forget to put if you miss timing to put move things in and out of the soul, I'm sorry, I'm going to use that. So
no, definitely take advantage of that, right?
So I won game 1. We went into game 2. I get dusted.
Ouch.
I'm like, well, it's GG. It's done. Game over. We're done now. Alan's over, and my event is now done. I double heal. And then I start. I start so quickly. I'm like, okay,
I can't play around. Nope. Even if he doesn't have a G zone, I'm done. Nope, we're not playing around. I survived that by the skin of my teeth. That was one of those aspects we were talking about earlier about luck being a part of the game. That was absolutely 155% part of the game. Totally luck sacked my way out of that one. Because I mean, you can't. What do you do about Dust? Just like the same situation as what do you do about Stark? 3 Vanguard attacks. Well, I lost. Dust. You instantly think, well, I lost. So I was very fortunate to make it through that round. And then just before top, I was incorrect. There was one more round, and I took it out of my brain. I played Dominate. Very last round before top.
So 5 rounds.
Yeah. I hate Dominate so much. I hate Dominate more than I hate Grand Blue, and it has nothing to do with the mechanic. I keep saying Dominate, Nubatama. It has nothing to do with the Dominate mechanic. It's just he rips my hand.
Yeah,
and I can't.
Renee and Zanky.
Like when it was just and not even just Zanky, it's just Renee that really bugs me. I can deal with Zanky. When it was just Muraku, and all the other, like when Dominate, yeah, I'm like, okay, I just won't call rear guards. I'll lock my board, and he can't call over it. Not a big deal. Still, lock my board. Not a big deal. Renee, he'll wait until I have 1 rear guard space open and not a very large hand, and I'm like, well, I can't do anything about this. It's game over. So that was game 1. I got Renee'd with 1 circle left. And it got, if it gets 15 and a crit, what are you gonna do? I mean, I don't have enough to guard that and 3 of his attacks. We're just gonna go ahead and call it good and go into game 2. Game 2, he forgets he moves a rear guard circle back before he rides to grade 3 and then tries to ride to grade 3. And I hate being this guy. We've talked about this, Jaime. I hate being that guy. But I can't just let you ride after you start doing things in your main phase. If you forget, I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, this is a higher level tournament, not like a locals anymore. This is ARG level. Can't be doing that kind of stuff. And this was
the guy that I was playing it. This was his first event. I'm like, I really don't want to be this guy, but you're a really good player, and I can't just let you ride when you've already started your turn and you've started to do things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I sea breeze him on my turn, and I double crit him, and it's GG.
Oh shit. Okay.
So I mean, that's why I'm so nitpicky about phases. It's stand, draw, ride. No,
yeah. You want to make sure you do everything right.
Well, and a lot of people, like you were saying, at a local level, they'll draw their card, they'll stand, then they'll start to think about what they want to do. No, just the first part of it, you should always know what you're going to ride next as soon as you see the next grade. I mean,
right.
Like if you only have one option, then that's your only option. So I sea breeze killed him. Game 3, I get Drachma. I ride a grade 3.
Okay.
Correct grade 3, mind you. That made me really sad. And then I survive to my turn. I can't start him because I don't have
the correct one.
I don't have not alter ego Neo. I don't have the ideal ride because ideal ego. Because the other 2 are sitting in my damage. So like I can't Stark you. So I'm gonna try to kill you with I had Harmonix Neoed already. I went into what did I go in? I went into Integral and I sent his hand back. And he drew 2 perfect guards. And I lost the next turn. He Drachma failed to kill me, and then I lost.
Huh. And you couldn't come back after that?
Still? No, my hand got recycled too. I put all my triggers back. I'm like, okay, this is fine. Oh, I can't find anything. So I was really sad. I'm like, I survived Drachma, and then I died. I couldn't kill him. And I felt really bad. I'm like, yeah, it's like, you got that one. We're done here. So they post standings, and I'm 8th, so I have to play. And I talked about this earlier. One of my good friends, Nathan Gann, and that's not his last name. Don't listen to me. That's my roommate's last name. They're both named Nathan. Don't listen to a word I say. He plays Victor. He's played Aquaforce. He's who I learned Aquaforce from. You and him were the reason I played Blue Waves for as long as I did.
Oh, okay.
And he's like very much like my mentor. And I'm like, well, you're playing Victor. I have a decent chance as long as he doesn't have resist units on the board. Game 1, I am absolutely, utterly annihilated. Absolutely, yep, done. I could not find. I was on Ideal Ego the entire game. I'm like, I can't draw.
Ooh.
I can't draw cards. Like,
You
Ideal
can't keep
Ego,
up.
I don't. His name is horrible because he's not the ideal ride target. He's a horrible ride target. He's an amazing rear guard, and he's an okay grade 3 ride if you're not striding that turn. Like if you're your first turn, you don't have alter ego Neo, you ride him, you can get a plus off of riding him. That's okay. He's an amazing rear guard. He sets up your board. He makes it to where you don't have to waste cards in your hand because you're calling out rear guards from your deck locked. He's an amazing rear guard. He's a horrible grade 3 in the late game. Horrible.
No, yeah.
If you're
Right.
stuck. You do not plus. You do not get any. You can't lock your opponent's board either off of it. It's really, really bad. I get utterly annihilated. He favorite champs me, and I'm like, well, GG, I'm done, and that's how that went. Game 2, I Basaltus, and then I end up G guarding. He had a G assist. He found the 3, but he couldn't make that momentum back.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's the downside to the game is G assist unless
Hurt
you're on
you.
right, it's going to let you draw a ton of cards, which Victor has now. But if you can't get quality, is the issue. You're drawing into 3s. Now I can't do much. So I go into Basaltus, G-Guard, Stark, and I kill him. Game 3, I cannot find a 3 at all. I finally find Ideal Ego, and at that point, it's too late. It's absolutely.
I see.
So, and I play 7 grade 3s and 3 stride fodders. Like, it's not like I play a grade 3 count.
Yeah,
So,
typically the 10 and 11 grade 3s with the stride fighters is pretty good. And you had 7 grade 3s, so it's not like you're playing 6 grade 3s or 5.
yeah, I which a lot of people do with Messiah, and I'm like, I don't trust that. They'll play. Some people are right now the list I've seen, they're playing 4 Ideal Ego and 2 Alter Ego. I'm like, no. They're like, well, if I ride into Alter Ego and I get 2 Ideal Egos, I can fill up a board with locked cards and not have to waste cards in my hand. Yeah, but if you don't, what then? If you don't see him, if you don't have a Destiny dealer to search him, what's your plan there? Because he's not getting you anywhere. He nets no advantage on the Vanguard circle. You break even because you draw and you place a card. You break.
Well,
even.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's like, Ideal Ego, I draw 2 cards for free. I mean, it's a Soul Blast, but I didn't have to do anything. I just had to unlock cards. That's what the deck does. So
you're being rewarded for what it does, and you have enough soul because other cards soul charge, so it's like basically free. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and the people that play the 4 ideals are the people that play 6 draw or 8 draw. And I'm like, no.
Oh, that's totally different. Yeah. I see what they're saying. I kind of see what they're getting at, but I don't know.
I do too,
I haven't had any experience with that build. Yeah.
It's horribly named. It's horribly named. There's 2 builds that I see. There's variations to the one that I play, the aggressive build that possibly plays draws. My deck I feel like is very the template of it is very simple. Like, of course you have your own text. Like, I play more crits than draws. It's the aggressive build. Then there's another deck. This is the aptly named that I don't like. It's called the Korean dog build, and because it topped multiple events in Korea, and it plays Gobel. I can't pronounce his name.
The dog. I know what you're talking about.
The dog. Gobel Dober, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
They play that instead of Dunami. So that same Soul Blast that I'm getting multi-attacks off of, they're getting draws off of, but they also play 8 draws. So they get a ton of cards. They also play the new grade 2 that you place a card locked and you draw a card.
Oh, yeah, the new chick.
So
I
it
know what you're talking
has
about.
phenomenal draw power, and I will 100% tip my hat to it every time, but it has no aggression because you're not playing. It standard plays 4 to 6 crits, and that's it. I'm like, that's not enough. That's not. If you're gonna play the deck, you need to play 8/4 or like I do. Or I'm sorry, I don't play 8/4. You either play 8 crit 4 draw, or you play 12 crit. That's what I feel like is the how it goes.
Yeah,
I don't like anything more than 4 draw. If I ever play 4 draw, I don't. I feel like
I can see you appreciate the crit more.
I mean, like
Especially
if I still had Flageolet and Vanguard crit,
yeah,
I would.
then
It would be
maybe
a little different, yeah. But
yeah.
I
No, I agree.
crits. I don't
Yeah,
have
without
crits.
Flageolet, you can't really get a crit except
And
for Amnesty.
Amnesty and Exilix, like all those strides, our base strides always got a
Oh, yeah.
crit, so you didn't have to play
That's
as many
true.
crits. Now you kind of have to. And I play an Amnesty, but I play an Amnesty mainly for.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for sharing your experience. Are there any plans
Absolutely.
for future events later this year?
I would really like to go to the ARG if I can get that set up.
What was that? To the ARG Nationals or the
Yeah,
Invitational?
that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I got my invite for getting 8th. I would really
Yeah.
like to do that. I'd really, 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 really like to do Team League. Like I really, 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 really want to do Team League.
Mhm.
Like
Do you
really
have an event
bad, but it's really hard to find
team members?
I mean, I've got great Vanguard players as friends, but they're either on a team or they can't travel. So it's like
Oh.
it's a big catch-22. Yeah, it's like I can't get, and you also, I think that with Team League, it's so much different than single player. Single player, that your worst enemy is yourself.
Yes.
Team League, you have to know the people that you're playing with. You have to know that they can hold their own weight.
Yeah.
And
can.
and that they'll hold themselves just as accountable as you'll hold yourself.
Right.
Because
And if you fail, they're there to back you up too.
yeah, and vice versa. Yeah,
Right.
and like I said,
Totally agree with that.
people think in Team League, oh, okay, I don't have to work as hard because I have 2 people carrying me. No, I think you have to work twice as hard, because what if one of them loses their match and you're the deciding factor?
Right. You don't want to be that awkward position too. But yeah, like I told my friends, like, don't worry if you're the tiebreaker technically. It's not all on you. The other player that lost could have lost later than you, and they could have been the tiebreaker. So don't feel like that pressure, just play your game and do your best like you normally would, because at that point it's really a one-on-one and you just want to win your game.
Yeah, Vanguard is one of the few. I'll say anime. I won't say cartoon because I don't consider it a cartoon. There's enough drama and some underlying tendencies in Vanguard that it's definitely not just a cartoon. Vanguard is one of those that explains the format of this game very, very well. They don't make mistakes. They don't make fan-made cards, or not fan-made cards. What am I saying? Exclusive cards, like only to the anime.
Oh, kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh has. I see what you're saying.
Yu-Gi-Oh, the game is, you watch the show, that doesn't mean you know how to play. Vanguard is a game that you watch the show, you know exactly how to play because it is verbatim the same.
They are strict on that.
Yeah, they forget to explain things sometimes, but we find out, the next time that card's played exactly what it does. It's not like that. But
it didn't change, right?
The
It's the
point
same
that I get
effect.
to is in season 1 of Vanguard and 2, their team format is almost verbatim what Bushiroad does for their team league, from what I've seen.
Yeah,
and 3 obviously, but it's the same basic format, but everyone's playing. Like it's 3 matches, best 2 out of 3 on each of them, but 2 of you have to succeed to move forward. Like it's that's what I love, is kids can watch this anime and literally know exactly what to do in a tournament situation.
Yeah, and that's
And-
good because they don't have to learn as much on the go.
Yeah, and it's just because we're in a generation that people learn from TV and videos and things like that, and I'm glad that Vanguard's one of those that you absolutely can learn the entire game top to bottom from watching it.
I see your point.
So,
Gotcha.
any other questions for me, Commander Jaime?
Well, I just wanted to say awesome. Thank you very much for sharing your deck explanations, your thought process,
Absolutely.
and your
What is this,
tournament
number
experience.
3 for us? 3? Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Blue Waves,
congrats
and-
again. And congrats again for making top 8.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I would have liked a better map. I'm going to say that again.
Yeah, it feels weird, but it is what it is. It's still a nice art, at least. But still cool.
They should have put Barkgall on it because Barkgall's back now.
I know, right? But nobody knew that. Well, some people did, but
No,
Yeah.
They've had this ban list planned for weeks.
I know. See ya.
Oh, and sorry. If anyone does have any questions or anything like that, just put it in the comments below, and because Jaime will, I'll know where it is. I'll know where it is, and I'll respond to them that way. So, because my name
Okay.
isn't the same on YouTube, so if you guys have any questions or anything, once this video goes up, just post it in the comments down below, and I'll respond to it when I.
Sounds good. Thanks, amigo.
Like, all right, I'll talk to you later, Jaime.
All right, man. Well, thank you again.
I appreciate it.
And so for you guys out there, if you like this content, hit the like button, comment down below, share it with your friends, and subscribe.